Bigger than a bread box, small cabinets are the perfect projects to fine-tune skills and explore woodworking techniques. They can be as easy to make as a small box, or their complexity and the skill required may rival the very finest things made of wood. My own relationship with making small cabinets began when I worked at a small company making cabinets from recycled barn boards. I had few skills at the beginning, but isn't that the way we all start out? One of the first things that I made for my wife, a librarian, was a spice cabinet that allowed for spices to be kept in alphabetical order in our kitchen. It's as beautiful today as the day it was made, so I can assure you that the small cabinets you make will become the family heirlooms that record your growth as a craftsman. This video is not about building small cabinets start to finish, but offers a series of techniques to help you design and build your own. When I'm starting to build a small cabinet, I start with a close examination of the materials, and I really have to evaluate carefully where each piece will go. I'll take a long board and I'll mark where I think there are defects in the wood so I can discard that, and then I'll take careful measurements so that parts can be cut off to approximate length before I start. I've selected this piece of wood as being perfect for making the cabinet sides. This will become one side and this will become the other. I've also noticed that there's some severe checking at this end, so that checking will make it unsuitable for use in the cabinet. The checking is caused from the natural shrinkage and expansion as the wood was first dried. So I've marked here for a cut to be made, and then I'll make a cut here, and this cut will give me my two sides, and after making a rip cut, it'll be ready for me to plane. So now I have my material for making my cabinet sides, and you can see there's a little defect there that I noticed when I was first selecting the material, but I've checked carefully to make sure that I can get the two sides that I need. This piece will become the cabinet top and bottom. Now this piece here, I'm going to plane down just because I might need something a little extra. If I mess something up, I'll know that I have a piece that I can cut it from. This piece will become the doors, and this piece here, which is beautifully figured spalted maple, will become the book-matched door panels. I want to make sure that the cabinet sides are completely flat. With my 6-inch wide jointer, I can't join wood as wide as this. So by cutting it into narrower widths, I can be much more effective. The other thing is that if this board were severely warped, I would have to take away a lot of material on the jointer to get it perfectly flat. Remember, these are over widths. These are wider than what my finished parts will need to be. So now I have the parts all jointed so they're flat on one side. I'm ready to plane them so that the two door sides are the same thickness. I'll plane the door parts so they're all the same thickness, not necessarily the same thickness as the sides. And then I'll plane the top and the bottom so that they're perfectly flat. But they do not necessarily have to be planed to the same thickness. I might choose a decorative effect that would require one to be thicker than the other. Now that I have one edge joined and both surfaces planed perfectly flat, I'm ready to rip it to final width. I'm going to use a sled on the table saw to help me cut the parts to exact length. The sled carries the wood through the cut and holds it at an exact 90-degree angle. I'll use a stop block so that when I cut one side and then the other, both will be exact length that I've determined in my plan. First, I'll make a trimming cut on one end just to make sure that it's perfectly square, and then I'll slide that end against the stop block to cut the opposite side. I need a piece of this vaulted wood about 20 inches long, which will become the book-matched door panels. Now I'm going to resaw it. So I have my bandsaw set up to cut right down the middle. So this one piece will become one panel, the other piece will become the other panel, and in the middle I should be able to find some symmetry between the two to form beautiful doors. Here they are, all the parts for a small cabinet the way I prepare them. I've jointed the edges, I've planed them flat, I've marked them for orientation so that I can make the best use of their grain. I use these same steps for every cabinet I make, and you can too.